Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider dropping likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So the big question is, who do you think Manchester United will sign in the January transfer window? Because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has blatantly made it clear, he does want to make a further more investment in January, and probably perhaps next summer. I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in the aspect, that he did recommend, 3 good players to, the squad this summer. Obviously, we spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and we have seen, glimpses of what good signings, they've proven to be so far. I think Daniel James has had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He's already scored 3 goals so far this season, and he's doing really, really well. And like I did say, he taken a huge step in his career, coming all the way from the Championship, to the Premier League. But so far, he has done really, really well, and he is only 21 years of age. He's good in and out of the box. He's electric. He's a pace. He's unbelievable. He's not really good at tracking back. That's the only real element of concern about him. But prior to that, I think he's a really, really good player. Don't forget, Daniel James only made his senior debut for Swansea back in February 2018. But he's been fantastic so far for Manchester United. Don't forget, his versatility is good because he can play out on each flank. But supposedly, he's supposed to be more effective from that left-hand side is Daniel James. Van Wan-Bissaka, I think he's had a fantastic start to his Man United career. Like I said, some people believe he's been one of our most consistent signings so far. Don't forget, I think we paid around £50 million for him. Obviously, he's our first choice right back is Van Wan-Bissaka, and so far this season he's been absolutely fantastic. He was primarily right winger when he was younger, but as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back. So in that aspect, he's actually comparable to Ashley Young, like I said, because obviously Ashley Young was primarily a right winger when he was younger, but obviously as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back, and obviously Ashley Young, was our first choice right back last season. With Van Wan-Bissaka, obviously he only made his senior debut for Crystal Palace back in February 2018, and so far, in his Man United career, he's replicated, what he did last season with Crystal Palace, so he's been absolutely sensational. And in regards to Harry Maguire, I think he's had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. I think so far, he's blended in very, very well alongside Victor Lindelof, and they complement each other, fantastically well. So I think Harry Maguire has addressed our defensive deficiencies. So it's good in the aspects throughout the course of the summer, that we did address, some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But I did say it was going to be extremely difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window, because obviously this has only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's for summer as Manchester United manager. So I think in January we definitely need to recommend at least one midfielder in, because obviously that midfield is one of the priority areas, where Manchester United need to strengthen up, because I have got a lot of element of concerns about that midfield. And obviously, I think we could go in for the right winner, because don't forget, from the majority of the summer, was in search for the right winner. But we had a lot of players on our agenda, throughout the course of the summer, who we didn't manage to get. And I do believe in the January transfer window we will probably reignite our interest in some of them players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer. We could possibly go back in for Bruno Fernandes, because don't forget, Bruno Fernandes was one of our main priority targets, throughout the course of the summer. He was one of our main priority targets throughout the course of the summer, but obviously, we didn't manage to get Bruno Fernandes. I was infuriated about that, because I think, I would have been excited about the prospects of Bruno Fernandes, playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield, because I do believe, they would have complemented each other, fantastically well. I think, we could maybe go back in for Paul Dybala. Obviously we was in for Dybala in the summer. Wasn't, relentlessly linked to Dybala, so he wasn't one of our main priority targets, but we was tentatively linked to him. Don't forget, we inquired about getting Mandzukic towards the back end of the window. So there were 2 players went in for, who actually, could have possibly, replaced Romelu Lukaku. Don't forget, went in for Jadon Sancho earlier on in the summer. Don't forget, we identified Jadon Sancho as our number 1 priority target, back in January. But obviously our move got skewed for Jadon Sancho, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. I think Jadon Sancho is definitely set to stay at Borussia Dortmund this season, so he will remain loyal to them. Reports came out, I think, near the start of the season saying that Jadon Sancho is set to leave Borussia Dortmund next summer, so possibly we could go in for Jadon Sancho next summer, but I don't think, we'll go in for him in January. We could do, but I think it's more than likely, if we are to go in for Jadon Sancho, we'll go in for him next summer. Obviously it did confirm, that Jadon Sancho either way will cost us a substantial amount anywhere. You know, it'll cost us in the excess of around £100 million. Obviously, he's only 19 years of age, as you all know. He is primarily a right winger, is Jadon Sancho. Can also play a century, but he's had 2 good seasons with Borussia Dortmund. I think now he's in his 3rd season as a Borussia Dortmund player. He's under contract with them, I think, until 2022. Is Jadon Sancho. Like I said, I did say, you know, I would be excited about the prospects of Jadon Sancho, you know, playing alongside the likes of, you know, Rashford, Daniel James and Martial in our attacking line, and I think he would blend in our attacking line, you know, really, really well. And the beneficial thing also is that Jadon Sancho has already played in the Premier League, so he's got that experience, so that's good in that aspect. You know, don't forget, before he went to Borussia Dortmund, you know, he did serve a couple of years with Manchester City, but never got assured, you know, first team opportunities at Manchester City, and this is the main factor reason why he left City to obviously, you know, go to Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund got him for next to no, you know, they only paid around, what, £7 or £8 million him, so he is developing, you know, really, really well, is Jadon Sancho, and I think if he came back to the Premier League, you know, it would create a better platform for him. I think it would help him more with his development, so maybe we could go in for him next summer. We was in for him early on this summer as well, but he was our number 1 priority target, you know, back in January, you know, was Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, we was tentatively linked with Christian Eriksen in the window. You know, I think we went in for Christian Eriksen towards the back end of the window, and that. Don't forget, you know, Christian Eriksen has also, you know, been on Real Madrid's agenda, so there was a lot of players on our agenda, you know, throughout the course of the summer, but I probably believe we'll reignite our interest in them in January. I do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, will stick with the same transfer strategy, because obviously he worked out his transfer strategy this summer, and I believe, you know, he'll want to continue, you know, the pursuit of young homegrown players and that. But recent reports have actually, you know, come out. I've been reading up now with in regards to James Maddison from Leicester. Now, reportedly, Manchester United, I think, are orchestrating on, you know, making a potential move for James Maddison in January. So we could go in for him in January. Don't forget, you know, we've already done business with Leicester, you know, earlier on this summer by, you know, getting Harry Maguire, who obviously, you know, we paid £80 million for. Obviously, Harry Maguire is the most expensive defender in the world, and also the second most expensive signing in the Premier League, and obviously the second most expensive signing at Manchester United. So I think, you know, for Leicester, you know, to do any business with James Maddison, I think Leicester, you know, would demand a similar fee, you know, to what they did, you know, with Harry Maguire, because obviously, you know, Leicester know deep down how much of an imperative, you know, player that James Maddison is. I think James Maddison is primarily an attacking midfielder, but also Brendan Rodgers has, you know, put him on the left hand side, so, you know, he has played in you know, various other positions as James Maddison, but you know, I think you mainly see the best of him, you know, through the middle. He's only 22 years of age. I think it does mention the Sun that Man United have actually been interested in James Maddison, you know, since June. We wasn't relentlessly linked to him, you know, we was tentatively linked to him, you know, he wasn't one of our main priority targets, but it does mention the Sun. It could cost us up to around £80 million, you know, could James Maddison, you know, if we had to get the pursuit of him in the January transfer window. But obviously he's a midfielder, and like I said, that midfield is one of the priority areas, you know, where Manchester United need to strengthen up, especially, you know, if Paul Pogba, you know, is to go in the January transfer window. Don't forget James Maddison, it was only James Maddison, sorry about that. James Maddison, you know, did really, really well in his debut season in the Premier League. You know, last season, I think he scored 7 goals and provided 7 assists. And actually, last season, this is a good statistic. You know, he created more chances than any other player in the Premier League. I think Leicester did pay around, was it £22 million from Norwich last summer, because he did have a good couple of years in the Championship with Norwich. I think he actually, you know, when he was a lot younger, began his career with Coventry, and I think quite a lot of teams, you know, were you know, monitoring him then, you know, when he was a youngster at Coventry. I think he also had a loan spell in Scotland with Aberdeen, so actually, you know, we could go in for James Maddison in January, but he is, you know, a really, really good player, plus he's British and that, and he's very, very young, so either way, you know, he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, you know, transfer strategy, you know, perfectly. But definitely further more investment is needed into the football club. Further more investment is needed into the football club. But I did say, you know, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, I did say in that aspect, you know, it went against us in the summer transfer window, you know, of obviously, you know, getting all the players that we wanted in, because I did say, you know, certain players at a certain calibre and level, you know, would have had reservations about joining the football club, you know, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. You know, we've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League, you know, 3 times out of the last 6 seasons, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era. So I did say it's very imperative this season that we do get back into the Champions League. And obviously so far this season, you know, we've enjoyed a very, very difficult time so far this season. You know, we've only won one game out of 4, so we've won one, we've drawn 2, and of course we have lost 1. And it's not that, you know, we're particularly, you know, playing badly. It's just that, you know, we're not being clinical enough in front of goal. You know, we are creating chances, but we're just not being clinical enough in front of goal, and that seems to be the problem. And this is why so far this season we haven't scored enough goals. We've only managed 7 goals so far in the Premier League this season. And I think sort of what I've seen so far this season, analysing it, you know, it's basically replicated, you know, what I saw last season. So what I mean in that aspect is, you know, I haven't seen much improvements this season than what I saw last season, because last season, you know, we only managed to score 53 goals in the Premier League. We conceded 54 goals in the Premier League last season for the first time in 4 decades. But I haven't really seen much improvements this season, because last season was a huge disappointment. You know, we finished 6th, so we finished 32 points behind Manchester City. You know, failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say, if this bad run of form, you know, does continue to persist, then I think we could, we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season. But like I did say, I hope Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, you know, can work out at Manchester United. I hope it can succeed, because I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. I really, really do. And obviously all the Manchester United fans, you know, love him a lot. I did say, you know, we're not really known for the sacking club, and, you know, we haven't got the structure, you know, to keep sacking managers. I know, you know, 3 managers have already been sacked, you know, since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era and that. But hopefully, you know, I hope he can succeed in that. But the way things have been going, you know, quite recently in that, and obviously in the last couple of months of last season, it's looking like the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure is not going to last at the football club. I did say, I think, you know, probably the board and that will give him time to spend to, you know, make further more investment in January or perhaps next summer, because I actually think at the start of this season, you know, the board had come to terms and had realised that, you know, they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, you know, throughout the course of the summer, even though they did assure that he would have been backed. So I think, you know, regardless of what happens this season, you know, as long as we're not in mid-table, as long as we're not fighting relegation, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, you know, should be safe for at least this season. Because analysing our squad at the moment, you know, it isn't good enough to win the league. We know that. It isn't even good enough to challenge for the league, and I don't think we'll win the league, you know, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, you know, maybe even longer than that. Depends, you know, what business we do in January or perhaps next summer. But I did say at the start of the season, you know, our expectations this season, you know, will be to finish in that top 4, and obviously, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations of perhaps win some silverware. But I did initially say our aspirations, you know, will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons. But I did say, you know, with the dimension in the history of this football club, you know, we should be up there competing, and of course winning silverware. You know, we haven't managed to do this in the last 6 or 7 years or so. But obviously, want to get back to winning silverware, you know, want to get back to being competitive in that. And obviously this is something that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, wants to bring back to the football club, and they're obviously, you know, big ambitions for the future, and Solskjaer wants to bring that fear factor, that winning mentality back to the club. But I know a lot of people are doubting it, you know, a lot of people are doubting it, but I did say, you know, regardless of who our manager is, you know, I just don't think we're going to ever replicate what we did under Alex Ferguson. You know, when, you know, no one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy, and in that aspect we've got to accept that. But we just want to be, you know, a competitive elite level football club again, and, you know, reflecting on the amount of money we've spent in the last 6 or 7 years or so, you know, we should be in much more of a commanding position, you know, than we're in now and that. But Gary Neville recently, you know, gave his overarching view on Manchester United, and he believes, you know, despite that we've had a bad start to the season, he still believes we're on the right track under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, like he was saying the other week. But he says the problem is, you know, it's not that we're playing particularly bad in games. You know, he said we did okay in the Southampton game and that, but he just says, you know, we haven't got that clinical element, which obviously means, you know, we're not being clinical enough in front of goal, and this is why we're not scoring enough goals, and this is something, you know, Manchester United, you know, do need to justify. But he believes the style of play, and that's right under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But I would give him time, like I said. I know the boards are a lot more ruthless now. If you go 5 or 6 games without a win, you know, your manager is under serious pressure. And I do believe now, following our bad start to the season, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is under you know, immense pressure without a shadow of a doubt. I wouldn't demand him out yet. You know, I would, like I said, I would give him time. But obviously, you know, we did well, you know, throughout pre-season. You know, won 6 games out of 6. You know, 12 goals scored and only 3 goals conceded. And I did say at that point, I think Man United we're gonna enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season. And then we got off to a remarkable start, you know, with a 4-0 victory over Chelsea. It was good to see in that particular game Daniel James, you know, scoring on his competitive debut, and it went really, really well. And then since the Chelsea game, you know, gone all wrong. You know, we dropped 2 points away at Wolves. You know, we dropped all 3 points at home to Crystal Palace. You know, we dropped 2 points away at Southampton the other week. So potentially, you know, it just isn't good enough, and I think, you know, recently our home form's been poor. You know, we've lost 3 of our last 5 league games at Old Trafford. Our away form has been quite poor recently, so there's still problems at the football club, you know, that do need to be addressed without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't only think, you know, we need to, you know, focus on the incomings in January. We do need to focus on the incomings in January, but I think we also need to focus a bit more on the outgoings, because I still believe that even though, despite the fact quite a lot of players now have left, you know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, and I did say anyway, you know, we needed that summer clear out, when obviously Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served a decade with the football club. Obviously, we saw Chris Smalling going on loan to Roma. Despite the fact that Chris Smalling's gone on loan to Roma, you know, we've still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously, Matteo Darmian joined Parma for just over £3 million. I wasn't surprised that Darmian left the football club, because obviously he was served his 2 requirements at the football club anyway, so I wasn't surprised in that aspect, but I was surprised, you know, of how much we let him go for, because, you know, we paid around £12.7 million for him from Torino back in 2015, and obviously Darmian, you know, enjoyed 4 seasons at the football club and enjoyed a difficult 4 seasons at the football club. But we let him go for over £3 million, so we've lost out on around £9.1 million there. So that's bad business from the football club. What we seem to do is we overpay for players, and then when it comes to letting them go, you know, we're letting them go for next to nothing. Like I said, with Herrera, similar thing happened with him. You know, we paid £29 million to him from Atletico Bilbao back in 2014. You know, he had 5 good years at Manchester United. Herrera had some rough patches in that, but for the majority of his Man United career, I thought he did really, really well. Did Herrera? You could arguably say he was one of our best players, you know, since the Alex Ferguson and Herrera. But you know, we paid £29 million for him from Bilbao. Then obviously early on in the summer, let his contract run down, and then obviously let him go on a free transfer. Again, bad business from the club. Obviously Fellaini left, you know, back in January after he served 6 years at Man United. Lukaku left, and of course Alexis Sanchez and that left, and I think quite a few goalkeepers have gone. So, you know, a lot of players have left now since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, but I still believe we need to focus on getting rid of a couple of more players in January or perhaps next summer, because I still believe now these problematic players at the football club. These problematic players in the football club. But, you know, the good thing is, you know, I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect, you know, that he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players, because there's a lot of young players at Manchester United, you know, that are developing and trying to improve and that. And, you know, I'm glad that Solskjaer's got a lot of trustworthy in him. I think Solskjaer believes that we're not short of options in that attacking line, you know, despite the fact, you know, Lukaku left and Alexis Sanchez left. But, yeah, Solskjaer, you know, definitely, you know, needs to give Mason Greenwood the starter tomorrow against Leicester. Obviously it's a 3 o'clock kick-off tomorrow at Old Trafford, but Mason Greenwood needs to get given the start. He has not yet started again from the start this season, Mason Greenwood. He has so far made 4 substitute appearances, but I think Solskjaer, you know, has recently become infuriated, you know, with Rashford's recent performances, and he put a terrible performance out against Southampton. Obviously, you know, Rashford received a lot of criticism, you know, reflecting on his bad performance against Southampton, and looked so isolated in that central position. Obviously, in that particular game, he was fulfilling Anthony Martial's role and that, and he was playing in that central position. For me, I don't know what Rashford's preferred position is. You know, he's in the aspect, he's you know, same as Martial is Marcus Rashford, you know, in terms of the positions they can play in, because Rashford can play centrally, obviously can play out wide. You've got Martial that can play centrally, and obviously, you know, he can play out wide and that. But for me, I think Rashford should be dropped for this game, and I think Mason Greenwood, you know, should get given the opportunity. And I think Solskjaer did say anyway, he's considering, you know, giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at the football club, because Mason Greenwood is obviously, you know, demanding more playing time anyway. You know, he's only 17 years of age. He only made his full debut at the end of last season in the 2-0 home defeat to Cardiff. Did Mason Greenwood, and he did really, really well throughout pre-season. Scored 30 goals in 29 games, don't forget, for the reserves last season. With Chong, like I said, you know, he recently said, you know, he's been in negotiations with a football club over a new contract as Chong. Obviously, he was subjected to some transfer speculation early on in the summer. I think it did initially say, you know, he'd received loan offers from PSV and his former club Feyenoord, but I think Chong, you know, wanted to remain at the football club. club at least for this season. You know, he's only 19 years of age. He's yet to make an appearance this season, Chon. You know, he was impressive, you know, throughout pre-season. But I did say, you know, the young players, you know, should get given their opportunities. But Chon's only managed 4 first-team appearances, you know, for the club since his arrival from Feyenoord back in 2016. So overall, this is his 4th season with Manchester United's Chon. But Solskjaer has actually, just like he did with Mason Greenwood, so in that aspect it's comparable, because he did say, you know, Mason Greenwood, you know, he's at the start of the season he'll be assured more opportunities, and he said recently with Chon, you know, he'll be assured first team opportunities, you know, if he does work hard. And obviously, you know, we've got a lot of we've got some other young players in the squad. You know, we've got Angel Gomez. Maybe he could participate in the game tomorrow against Leicester. Angel Gomez, I think, is another one of our midfield options. Alex Tuanzebe, don't forget, you know, is another one of the young players. It did initially say he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. Obviously, Alex Tuanzebe is one of our centre backs, and despite the fact that obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice centre backs are Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, I still think, you know, Alex Tuanzebe, you know, will get given you know, some chances this season. So yeah, and obviously we've got Jimmy Garner. You know, he's another one of the young upcoming players. But I did say anyway, you know, this, you know, reflecting on the amount of injuries, you know, we have got, you know, I think, you know, more of the youth, you know, should get given an opportunity anyway. Because I did say for the game tomorrow, you know, we could be missing up to 5 players for the game against Leicester tomorrow, and that's bad news, like I said, because obviously, you know, Leicester's going to be a tough game tomorrow. But it's very imperative, you know, that Manchester United, you know, do get back to winning ways. We do know tomorrow that Harry Maguire, you know, will be reuniting with Leicester and that, but this is going to be a tough game. And like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, mentioned in his press conference, you know, he come out with quite a few interesting quotes and all that in his press conference. He basically said, you know, the treatment room has been busy, like Solskjaer said in his press conference. I did give my video earlier on the press conference. He said the treatment room has been busy. He did say in regards to Wan-Bissaka and Jesse Lingard, obviously, you know, who had to both withdraw from the England squad the other week, you know, just Lingard with illness and Wan-Bissaka with a back injury. He did say they could be involved, maybe. It's not assured that they will be involved. You know, Solskjaer says, you know, he can't promise, you know, that they'll be available for the game. But Solskjaer said anyway, you know, he doesn't know who's going to be available. I think it's almost certain, you know, that Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial will miss the game against Leicester. So we are without 2 imperative players there. But I think, you know, they should regain full fitness for the game against West Ham. We do know Diego Dalot will not be playing against Leicester. He's obviously not out over a groin injury. I think it's unknown, you know, when Diego Dalot will regain full fitness. Obviously, you know, with Eric Bailly, he is a long-term absence. You know, he's out until the new year. Is Eric Bailly with an injury that he did sustain throughout pre-season, and we do know that Fosu Mensah is a long-term absence. You know, Lee Grant is out with injury. Like I said, Anthony Martial is a thigh injury, and it's a shame that he's out, Anthony Martial, because, you know, he's been one of our best players this season, Anthony Martial. Obviously, you know, before he sustained this injury. And like I said, you know, Martial, you know, does seem to be more effective in that central position. You know, Martial now is in his 5th season at the football club. Obviously, he scored 50 goals for Manchester United. You know, don't forget, you know, he got a new contract back in January, so he signed a 5-year deal. So Martial's under contract with the club until 2024. I know he primarily plays out wide, but he just seems to be, you know, more of a standout player in that central position. But I think a lot of things have improved about his game. You know, he's finishing, he's getting more of them runs in behind, and he's developing, you know, fantastically well. And obviously Martial missed the game against Southampton as well, but hopefully he can be fully fit for the game against West Ham. Like I said, in regards to Luke Shaw, as you all know, he's out with a hamstring injury. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did confirm that Luke Shaw will be out for another week or 2. So hopefully, you know, he can possibly be back for the Rochdale game or the Arsenal game, Luke Shaw. And it's a shame, and Luke Shaw's another very imperative player, despite the fact that he had an average start to this season, obviously before he sustained this hamstring injury, did Luke Shaw. But Luke Shaw's still a very imperative player, and I don't think he's a liability. I think he's one of the reliable players in the squad, because obviously, you know, Luke Shaw's our first choice left back, and obviously reflecting on his impressive performances last season, you know, he won the double player of the season, did Luke Shaw, don't forget. But yeah, it's a shame, that he's out. So he'll have to make alterations anyway. Will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reflecting on the injuries, whether it's the youth that get given the chance or more of the experienced players. But I think, we need to recommend more of the youth, to get given an opportunity in this particular game. In regards to Jesse Lingard, like I said, he's ill. He had to withdraw from the England squad. But even if he can, participate in the Leicester game, I think you've got the vast majority of Manchester United fans, demanding Jesse Lingard to be dropped. Obviously based on his, recent performances, because they have been way below par and they have been inconsistent of, Jesse Lingard. I still say, he's been poor for like the last, 5 or 6, for like the well, he was poor in the last couple of months of last season. He's been poor so far this season. So at least in the last 3 or 4 months, Jesse Lingard, has been quite poor, to be quite honest. But I still say he is the long-term solution for Manchester United. But yeah, we have got quite a lot of injuries. Don't forget, Solskjaer was also asked in the press conference, about how he thinks, Harry Maguire's settled in, and he thinks Harry Maguire's had a fantastic start to his Man United career. He explained of how much of a good leader and that he is in that back line. His distribution, that's really, really good. And he also got asked about Daniel James and that, and don't forget. He thinks Daniel James has had a fantastic start to his Man United career. Don't forget, he was also asked about, the contractual situation with David De Gea, because we do know that, David De Gea has not yet signed a new contract with the football club. Obviously, reports were stemming out earlier on this week. Reports were stemming out earlier on this week, actually, saying that, David De Gea was close to signing a new contract, and actually, this was stemming from The Guardian. They basically said that David De Gea is closer to signing a new contract. And then obviously it came out a couple of days ago, from Adam Crafton, who's an athletic journalist, and he said on De Gea's behalf, he's on the brink of signing a new deal, and that doesn't mention the length of the contract, just says, he's close to signing a new deal. It reported said, he's close to agreeing around the £290,000 a week deal with the football club, which obviously means, that I think, make him the joint highest paid, at the football club, alongside Paul Pogba, because obviously Paul Pogba's on 290 grand a week, so obviously De Gea would be earning the same basic wage as Paul Pogba. But yeah, now it's looking at, David De Gea is going to be staying with the football club, which is very, very good news. And obviously, De Gea's contract expires at the end of the season. And I think on his current deal, he's on a substantial amount. I think De Gea's on around 200 grand a week, on his current deal at the moment. On his current deal at the moment and that. But don't forget, earlier on in the summer, there was talks about De Gea, leaving the football club. Obviously, he's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. Well, Real Madrid have been in for him for a number of years. Don't forget, back in 2015, Real Madrid were on the brink of getting him, but due to a fax machine, the deal never materialised. Juventus, don't forget, they've been in for him quite recently. Also, PSG were regarded as the favourites, to get him earlier on in the summer. So at one point, it was looking very imminent. He was going to be leaving the football club, De Gea, and obviously, throughout pre-season, there was a change of scenery, because it actually said throughout pre-season that, David De Gea, was going to be staying with the football club, and it did actually say throughout pre-season he was going to be signing a 6-year contract with Manchester United, rough up to around 375 grand a week. Obviously, that figure would have made him, the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, and that. And he did initially say, his contract, should have been announced after he returned from pre-season, but obviously, that didn't materialise in that. I was reading the Metro the other week, and they reportedly said that, David De Gea was on the verge of rejecting a contract offer from Man United, and he was, he told his friends reportedly he will snub any offer from Manchester United. I think he already earlier on in the summer turned down a 300 grand a week offer, did David De Gea. But for large periods of David De Gea was actually demanding around 350 grand a week, to sign a new long-term contract with Man United, and for large periods, Man United were not willing to meet his 350,000 £1,000 a week wage demands and that. But then obviously, there was a change of scenery, because then obviously, I think was it at the start of pre-season, we decided, to meet David De Gea's, £350,000 a week wage demands. But David De Gea has been a great servant to the football club. This is now his 8th season at Manchester United. Obviously now he's going into his 9th season. Well, he's in his 9th season, at Manchester United. He's De Gea, and he's won everything here domestically. He's won the club's player of the year 4 times out of the last 6 seasons. Reflecting on his impressive performances, and he has made over what? He's made over 300 odd appearances for the club in all competitions. But you know, David De Gea, analysing him over the years, Solskjaer said anyway, you know, he's the best goalkeeper in the world because obviously he's been so consistent for the club for years. I think he's had 7.5 good years at the football club. I do believe he's been average for the last 5 or 6 months, but prior to that, I think he's had a great career with Manchester United. And he's 28 years of age. You know, he has still got a lot of development in him. But yeah, you know, he has been very, very good for the football club as De Gea. But like I said, it did recently say, you know, we could be at risk of losing him on a free transfer. And I did say at full value, David De Gea, he's worth up to around £100 million. But I said, you know, we wouldn't get £100 million for him, obviously reflecting on his recent performances. And plus he's got under a year left on his contract. But I said if we couldn't get him a new contract, it would be beneficial to cash in for him in January rather than letting go on a free transfer at the end of the season. But according to what reports have said early on this week, David De Gea is going to be remain at the football club. You know, some reports were actually, you know, saying that, you know, if we've got a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, you know, who could actually, you know, replace David De Gea at the football club, and that, you know, Jan Blanc, you know, I think we identified him as our #1 priority target to replace De Gea at the football club. I think we also had Jordan Pickford on our agenda, you know, earlier on in the summer. But I think, you know, De Gea is, you know, going to be staying anyway. And I did say if he left anyway, you know, we'd need a replacement for him because look at our other goalkeepers we've got. You know, we've got Sergio Romero. Obviously, he's our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously, he's not reliable enough, you know, to come out on one goalkeeper. Obviously, we've got Lee Grant. He's injured. Don't even think he's yet played Lee Grant, from what I can remember. Anyway, he only joined the club last summer from Stoke, was it? Dean Henderson's obviously gone back out on loan to Sheffield United. I think that's good business in that aspect because it's obviously going to gain him more experience, because Dean Henderson's obviously, you know, only very, very young, and Joe Pereira, of course, has gone out on loan to Hearts in Scotland, so he's gone on a long season loan there. But yeah, I think now anyway, you know, David De Gea is going to be staying at the football club. But also, like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, throughout his press conference, you know, he also praised Leicester. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows deep down of how much of a difficult game, you know, this is going to be against Leicester, because obviously Leicester, you know, have enjoyed a pretty decent start to the season. You know, they've registered 8 points. They've registered 8 points from a possible 12 in their last 4 games. I do believe Leicester have won their last 3 games in all competitions. So they've enjoyed a pretty decent start this season. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was saying, you know, Leicester, they're a good team, you know, they've got good players, you know, the manager's pretty good and that. Obviously, you know, he was mentioning that Brendan Rodgers has got that proven pedigree, because he actually, you know, did really, really well at Celtic. I think he was at Celtic, was he, quite a few years at Celtic. Obviously, you know, did well when in the 2013-14 season, you know, with Liverpool, Brendan Rodgers. So obviously before he was at Leicester anyway, you know, he had that experience of managing the Premier League, you know, with Liverpool. So he does know, he does know about the Premier League, you know, does Brendan Rodgers. But he also mentioned in Solskjaer that Leicester are a club and they're a team that are obviously, you know, pushing for that top 4. So if Leicester do continue this good run of form, you know, they could enjoy a pretty decent season, you know, could Leicester. But we've usually got a good winning record against them anyway. You know, we've won 8 of our last 9 against Leicester at Old Trafford. You know, analysing the last 20 games, Leicester have only won 1 out of their last 20 league games against us. And obviously, you know, that victory came back in September 2014. You know, Leicester won by 5 goals to 3. Obviously, that was back under Louis van Gaal, wasn't it? You know, the last time, you know, Leicester did beat us. But yeah, so. And Leicester, you know, like I said, you know, they spent around £90 million this summer at an estimated guess. You know, they recommended 4 signings in. You know, they paid a club record fee for Youri Tielemans, who they paid £40 million for Monaco, that is. Obviously, they got Dennis Prayak from Sampdoria, who they paid around £18 million for. They also got James Justin in from Luton for £6 million, and they got Perez in from Newcastle. So they did get 4 players in. Did Leicester? You know, obviously Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. You know, lost Harry Maguire early on this summer. You know, lost Raheem Mahrez to Manchester City last summer. So this is going to be a pretty difficult game, you know, for Manchester United. So we have got to be up to the task, and obviously we've got to win it anywhere. You know, if we want to keep our hopes up, you know, for a top 4 finish this season. But like I did say, you know, games are coming up thick and fast. You know, we've got Leicester tomorrow, Old Trafford. Then we go, I think, at home to FC Astana in the Europa League. Then obviously, you know, we go away to West Ham. Then obviously it's Arsenal after that. So, you know, games are coming thick and fast. But like I said, Like I said, yeah, games are coming up thick and fast, but like I updated you earlier on this week with in regards to the director of football at Manchester United. I did say, we need to get a director of football, and in that aspect it's very imperative indeed, because I did say, we need a structural change at the football club. Now, like I did say earlier on in the summer, Ed Woodward obviously wanted to appoint a director of footballing to the football club and that. Now there was quite a few names linked with the role. There was talks of Ferdinand getting it, Darren Fletcher getting it, and possibly Patrice Evra getting it. Obviously anywhere they're former Manchester United players, and I did say at the time it'd be beneficial to get someone in who knows the traditions of the football club, someone who of course has got the experience in that. And Ed Woodward did speak to quite a few former Manchester United players earlier on in the summer, but reports indicated out earlier on this week saying that obviously Ed Woodward has identified Edwin van der Sar as his #1 priority target, to obviously become the director of football at Manchester United, because obviously Edwin van der Sar's got that experience, and I think obviously Ed Woodward is going on the experience Edwin van der Sar's got. Obviously Edwin van der Sar is the CEO of Ajax. He's been the CEO at Ajax since 2016. I think now he's in his 4th season at Ajax, is Edwin van der Sar. But some people say, if we had got that director of footballing, earlier on in the summer, maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in that aspect, would have been back tomorrow. But if we can get a director of footballing, I will be very, very happy about that. But we didn't manage to get one in earlier on in the summer, so obviously we decided to obviously let Ed Woodward, obviously our transfer business. But I think Edwin van der Sar, would be good for Man United, because he's got that experience, like I said, and he knows the traditions of the club anyway. He served 6 years with Manchester United, as a goalkeeper, and I think he would be reliable, to oversee our transfer business. But whether he comes or not, it's not a sure deal coming, Edwin van der Sar. But there was rumours about it, going on earlier on this week. But yeah. So like I said earlier on in the video, I think there's still more players that need to leave Man United in January or next summer, because I still believe there's players here now that are no longer good enough to represent the football club. In my opinion, Young. I think this could be Ashley Young's last season as a Manchester United player. Obviously he's reflecting on his age. Basically, he's 34. Nearly 35 years of age. I think he's 35 next year, if I'm right. He's young. Obviously the club gave him a new 1-year extension last season. Ashley Young, but yeah, he was actually our first choice right back last season, but obviously he's no longer now, obviously because of the arrival of Wan-Bissaka. But actually could be in line to start tomorrow. Ashley Young, don't forget, he started in the game against Southampton. He was playing at left back. He actually captained the team against Southampton, but obviously he was fulfilling Luke Shaw's role in that particular game. Like I said, Young's been a long-serving here, he's been here 8 years, he's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, so he has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. But it's plainly obvious, he's past his sell-by date. You've got Phil Jones at the football club. Obviously, he's been here 8 years, he's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, so I think the club needs to obviously orchestrate on getting rid of him in January or next summer. But like I said, we've still got 6 centre-backs in the team. I think Rojo's definitely a player that needs to be moved on in January or next summer. Rojo, we knew that he would definitely stay at the football club recently, because Solskjaer said, before the Southampton game, that Rojo was staying, even though Everton inquired about getting Rojo on deadline day. Marcel at AC Milan and Monaco also inquired about getting Marcus Rojo, but Rojo did actually quite well, throughout pre-season, so I will credit him in that aspect. But obviously hasn't played a game so far this season. But reflecting on the injuries they've got, he actually could be involved in the game this weekend against Leicester, because don't forget, we know he's versatile. He can play in various positions in that back line, so he's primarily a centre back, but I think he can play on the left. He can also play as a wing back. Rojo's obviously just got under 2 years left on his contract with the football club. I think we said to Everton we wanted around £25 million for him on deadline day, but obviously his move to Everton never materialised, and he has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player, don't forget, as Marcus Rojo. So I think he's another player as well he's one of the problematic players. I do believe Nemanja Matic is definitely one of the problematic players. I think Nemanja Matic is a liability. I think for the majority of his Man United career, analysing it, I think he's mainly been a liability as Nemanja Matic. We have seen glimpses of how good he can be and that, but I believe the club overpaid for him anyway. Obviously at the time we got him under the Jose Mourinho era, Nemanja Matic wasn't our first choice then. you know, he was actually our third choice signing, you know, that time. He's too slow, makes that midfield look totally imbalanced, doesn't the Man United? He just doesn't complement that midfield, in my opinion. So I think he needs to be moved on in January or next summer, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So these still, in my opinion, problematic players at the football club. These still problematic players at the football club, but you can quite frankly say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad, because analysing, you know, there's only 3 players there that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so I would give him at least 1 or 2 more windows, you know, to make further more investment. But like I said, if my calculation's right, and I'm close, I think we've spent somewhere in the region of nearly £900 million in the last 6 years, obviously in all the managerial areas on players. If you want to take into account, you know, if you want to take into account, you know, with the wages and that, you know, it's over £1 billion that's been, you know, spent and that in the football club, because we have now got players on big contracts. But yeah, there's definitely no certain players, you know, that do need to step up, you know, for Manchester United. But so far this season, you know, I have been very, very disappointed. I did say early on in the video, or was it on one of my videos, you know, what I've seen so far this season, you know, it's replicating, you know, what I saw last season. And it's replicating, you know, what I saw last season. But, you know, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, was to be sacked as Manchester United manager, you know, who would you recommend in? You know, say he was to be sacked by January or Christmas or whatever, who would you recommend into the football club? I know before, you know, we recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in. I know there was quite a few, you know, names mentioned, you know, who could have taken that managerial role at Manchester United. Obviously, don't forget, before Solskjaer was appointed in, you know, when we was in for Pochettino for quite some time and that, and, you know, people were saying after Jose Mourinho sacking in December of last year that Pochettino, you know, would have been the right candidate for Manchester United. And I do remember, you know, Gary Neville saying it rightly. Pochettino, obviously, you know, he's not got a proven pedigree yet of winning in silverware. You know, I'll credit him in the aspects that I think he's done a really, really good job with Tottenham. You know, he's in his 6th season now as Tottenham manager. If Tottenham are good enough this season, obviously Pochettino doesn't exceed expectation levels at Tottenham this season, then he could be the next manager, you know, to be sacked and that. But obviously, you know, Pochettino, I think he's done really, really well with Tottenham. He's good at developing young players. I thought he did well in his short tenure with Southampton, you know, before he went to Tottenham. But don't forget, you know, we was in for him for quite a while. Obviously, you know, we would have to pay a commission of around 35 or 40 million pounds to get Pochettino in at the time. But obviously, you know, our preference was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over Pochettino, because obviously Solskjaer knows the culture of the football club, Pochettino doesn't. And obviously, you know, Solskjaer, you know, we was looking at it as a cheaper solution, because he was a cheaper solution. You know, we only paid a couple of £1 million to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in as the interim manager. Obviously, Solskjaer did well as interim manager in his first few months at the football club. Well, 3 months, should I say. He exceeded expectation levels and the results were good, and, you know, he got the best out of these group of players. But since he got the job permanently in March early on this year, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong. And don't forget, we paid a further £7 or £8 million to Mould, you know, to obviously, you know, give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job permanently. Don't forget, there was talks of Zinedine Zidane, you know, coming in to the football club as well before Solskjaer came in. There was quite a few managers, you know, mentioned, but Pochettino, you know, was the number one at one point. But, you know, I think also there's some people believe that actually Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can emulate into Jurgen Klopp if he's given given the time required. You know, because don't forget, you know, analysing Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, he's a good manager, but he didn't win out in his first few years. You know, with Liverpool, did Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, he actually won his first major honour with Liverpool last season. You know, the Champions League, because actually, you know, Liverpool won the Champions League last season. They've won 6 Champions Leagues now. But yeah, definitely, you know, give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a bit more time. Some people also got element of concerns about Solskjaer, you know, with his, you know, some of his tactics. Also, that he hasn't really got the experience as a manager, you know, not really to the highest level, really, and that's something else that does concern me. But if it doesn't work out, you know, it doesn't work out, you know, some of the blame does stem from Solskjaer, but, you know, you can also blame the team. I think so far, analysing the squad, you know, we're lacking leaders. Maybe we need someone to come in who's better at taking set pieces, you know, maybe we need someone to come in who's, you know, can create more chances and finish better. But yeah, I've got some quite a lot of concerns at the moment. But like, reflecting back under the Jose Mourinho era, just under £400 million was spent under Mourinho, and, you know, he recommended 11 players into the football club, don't forget. And, you know, I did give you the reasons why it didn't work out with Jose Mourinho, because obviously when we appointed Mourinho in, people would have thought it would have worked out under Mourinho, obviously with that proven pedigree he's got. You know, he's won stuff everywhere he's been, and was regarded as one of the best managers in the world. And obviously, you know, Mourinho won a couple of titles with Chelsea. I think he was. Who did he win the Champions League with? Now, if I can remember, was it Porto? If I can remember right, I can't remember. But he did win it, I think, once or twice. But he won 2 by, you know, everywhere he'd been, you know, Jose Mourinho. But it didn't work out for Manchester United because, obviously, reflecting back last summer, you know, the board weren't back in the signings that he wanted to recommend into the football club. Obviously, that tells you your tenure's not going to work out. Obviously, had bad disputes with the board, had bad disputes with the top players. There was no sort of winning philosophy under Jose Mourinho, you know. There was no sort of transfer strategy under Mourinho, and, you know, it just didn't work out under him, despite the fact that he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season with Manchester United. But yeah, like I said, we've had different managers with different sort of philosophies, but it just hasn't worked out so far, you know, since the Alex Ferguson and Moreira. I've already given you the latest news, haven't I, about Paul Pogba. I gave you the news about Paul Pogba on my video yesterday. But it's good. The good news is we do know now that Paul Pogba's staying at the football club at least until January. I still think Paul Pogba's plans for the future is to definitely leave Manchester United to go to Real Madrid. And Paul Pogba, I think, was infuriated, and I think Zinedine Zidane's also infuriated, you know, that he didn't land his #1 priority target. Don't forget, reports recently came out and actually said, allegedly, that Paul Pogba had agreed to leave Man United, you know, and it reportedly said he agreed around a £129,000 a week contract, you know, with PSG just before, I think, deadline day. Obviously, the move didn't materialise because of Neymar, the Neymar side, because there was rumours of, you know, Neymar possibly going back to Barcelona. Don't forget, Neymar is the most expensive player in the world. You know, Paul Pogba's brother recently revealed that Pogba spoke to Lionel Messi, because I think Barcelona were also in for him throughout the course of summer, but it was mainly Real Madrid, you know, that were relentlessly linked with Paul Pogba earlier on in the summer and that. But yeah, we know now he's staying at the football club. Like I said, he had to withdraw from the France squad the other week. He did undergo a scan, you know, to see how, you know, severe the injury was and that. And I don't think it's that severe. I think he's going to be only missing the game tomorrow, but should be back for the game against West Ham. Definitely starts McTominay tomorrow, because I think analysing his performances so far this season, I think he's been very, very good as McTominay. You know, in regards to it, you know, is he the long-term solution for Manchester United? I don't know about that, so I've got a limit of concerns in that aspect. But I think so far this season, McTominay, you know, has been very, very good. So yeah, I think, you know, he should, you know, regain his place. So far this season, he has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba as McTominay. So be interested to see, you know, what team, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, does go with tomorrow in the game against Leicester. Like I did say, you know, I don't think we win the league in the next couple of seasons. You know, we haven't won the league, you know, since 2013. Obviously, you know, that came in Alex Ferguson's last season. Last time, you know, we did win the league. But I'm hopeful this season, you know, if we can get top 4 this season, I'll say we've had a good season. You know, if we can win the Europa League this season, I'll say we've had a good season. There again, dependent on, you know, where we're finishing the table if we did win the Europa League. So we'll see what happens anywhere. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.